Hello and welcome to the Facing Your Fears, Turning Fear into Courage. We're on chapter 44 and it's called Are You Off Your Pathway? Taking a deep breath about that. If we want to really discover the right pathway for ourselves in so many different areas of our lives, what we need is to use feedback, which we've done before on previous chapters in our life. And so feedback comes when our body feels right, when our heart feels right, our soul feels right, our life is working out. And when it's not working out, we'll see things like challenges, problems, illness, different things that give us feedback that we're off our pathway. And sometimes we actually know that something doesn't feel right. And I mentioned it in the last recording that if we eat something that doesn't feel right, if we do something that doesn't feel right, our body gives us feedback. Well, the universe and the world gives us feedback too. And I do believe when we're on our pathway, it feels like we're moving forward. But if you're a hiker, runner, explorer, if you're going on the wrong pathway and you know you're on the wrong pathway, do you keep going forward or do you stop and turn around and find the right pathway? So maybe that's where we're at in the world right now, is to decide that the pathway we're currently on, as far as maybe the climate or things we care about, the homeless, all the things like that, there are things that we need solutions for. And we can decide as an individual to ask for guidance. And so in this chapter, I asked the people that were writing and reading the chapter to write down 5 different questions they'd have for their old soul. The old soul is that part of us that's very knowing, whether it's a spiritual guide or a religious guide or the older version of yourself or whatever it might be. But we can ask questions like, am I supposed to move? Am I in the right relationship? Am I in the right job? Different things like that. And if you then decide to write back to yourself, it is interesting when you're writing, it's hard to lie. It's almost like when we did the drawings about creating our future and what we'd like to see in it. If we draw, it's a different response than in the part of the brain. And writing is the same thing. That's why people journal or do automatic writing, because we access a different part of our brain, of our heart, of our soul. And the old soul can write back and say, why not move? You'd like to live in either a different area or a different country. You'd like to experience something different. They've actually shown that when you move and live in a new home, you stimulate new brain cells because you're having to find different pathways, talking about pathways, to get gas, to buy food. You have to change your brain to accommodate. And they've done the same thing if you learn a musical instrument or a foreign language, that you're creating new pathways in the brain. And that's really important. It's important that we do that. So the old soul might write back and say, look at what you do by moving. You would be meeting new people, meeting new experiences, finding new places to go out to eat or to have fun or to hike or to run or whatever you might want to do. That might be your question. And it might also be a question about a child and that you're worried about, or a friend that you're worried about, or a partner. And we can get advice if we just spend time asking the right questions to ourselves, writing it down, and writing the response that we get from our old soul. Old soul is in quote. I'm not sure where that answer comes from. I think we have an all-knowing part of us. And if you're religious, it might feel like a religious person that's answering it. Or if you're spiritual, it might feel like the universe or spiritual guides are answering those questions. But it's not bad to get some feedback from something more than our kind of limited brains. We limit ourselves. So we talked about that in the chapter of the restrictions we put on ourselves. Our programming limits ourselves. Anytime we step out of that programming, every time we show courage, every time we say yes to something that we might be a little afraid or nervous about, we are changing our destiny. We're changing the way our brain thinks. We're changing the way our mind, our hearts, our bodies feel. So let's go explore. Let's go explore. And again, remember, if you're going forward on a pathway that's not right for you, you're probably hearing it, either a little voice in your head or your heart or someplace that it's saying, this isn't the right way to go. pay attention, turn around, and go the right direction. And it may take a little bit to find the right direction, but when we're on a pathway that feels right for us, things seem more peaceful. They seem more calm, more full of joy, more exciting. And we want to bring that state of joy, that higher vibrational level, into every pathway in our life. So, are you on the right pathway? Are you on the wrong pathway? Let's do some writing and figure that out. Let's do some meditation to figure that out. Let's spend some time deciding and learning about yourself and what is right for you without the programming, without all the voices in our head, without the expectations and shoulds and woulds and could. But let's just do it. Like Nike, just go do it. So that's chapter 44. And thank you for joining us. We're doing Facing Your Fears, Turning Fear into Courage. Thank you.